Billy Harvey.
Hey there, this is Rob Ruckus.
Hey, it's Tony from Fastball.
Hey, it's Ben McKelvey.
Hey guys, it's Matt here from the White Lakes.
What's up everybody, Jacob from The Big News.
Hey guys, it's Nick Collins here from The Effect and Better Strangers.
Check me out at Almost Famous Magazine.
Buzzing from our clips to be dropping on Almost Famous Magazine.
Check out Almost Famous Magazine.
You can find more clips from my interview with Almost Famous Magazine.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
You know, speaking of secret weapons and things that you've worked on, I know.
Here's my machete. Speaking of secret weapons,
what is your zombie weapon of choice? What is your zombie weapon of choice? And God forbid your mates became zombies. Would you fire upon them? I mean, there's a lot of questions you had to answer.
No, I think we'd have to find some victims.
What would you do if Luke Juby became a zombie?
I'll try and cure him. He's such a good dude, man. He deserves, of all the mechanics, he deserves to be cured first. He's a great keyboard player and like such an amazing, like humble guy, but super talented. Like, I mean, this dude can put his hand to anything. He's an incredible producer, great singer. He's got a face like a sack of nails, which means no, he doesn't. He's a really good-looking guy. He's kind. I mean, it's like if I wanted to pop out the perfect kid, it'd be Luke. And he's a dude, man. He's not like just this. Look at him trying to get him dates or something like that. But no, I'm not. I really think highly of all of our band members. I think they're all incredible for whatever they do. And I think that's not saying it's rare, but I think in a band when you get together for we're on like 13th or 14th year of mechanics, I still look forward to hearing these guys play because it's always exciting. Between Roachford or Anthony Drennan or Gary Wallace or Nick when he was on drums, or these guys, they've got that bug, they've got that creative juice, and they got that love for the vibe, and they're and killing it. Mike certainly has it in spades. He's a wicked bass player, Mike Rutherford. He's very groovy, and you think, here's an English guy who went to a public school, let's say a private school, but the man's got bass chops, and that's, I think that's somewhat unexpected. It shocks me sometimes. I look over and I go, God, he's really good at the bass, and I think I better start singing.
There is that rumor that he had that other band to learn that stuff in.
Oh yeah, like listen, who hasn't been affected by Genesis? Now, when I went back into all of it, my jaw dropped because it's some of the most creative and it's progressive, isn't it? Prog music, but it wasn't just prog. It morphed into this super tight unit. When Peter left, they started creating really poppy and very acerbic slightly. The wit was very and the content wasn't. It was very Genesis content, but the shell of it was accessible, and of course that took off. Like it took off, and they should have. They got their their time in the sun, and they earned every second of it. Because Genesis, when they first started, if you listen to some of the stories, it wasn't always a guaranteed thing, but they stuck with it. And there's only one Genesis, isn't there? They were fantastic. It's weird to say that, having seen their last tour and knowing a lot of the guys in the band and hanging out with, it's hard to think, are they really done? And I think they're not done making, but maybe they're done performing,
Time will tell. Let's talk about making music. Yeah. Let's talk about making music for a minute. Like I said, you've posted a couple of times about this, and it's been a little while. But there was a point you were being super creative and you're working on a solo album.
I'm still trying to get that done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's still going, and I've got to try and get it out before February of next year. So, it's weird. When I came off the tour, I went straight back into being a stay-at-home dad and then doing the odd bit of a gig here and there. I went and did a gig for friends of mine for a new musical based on Beethoven they were writing in Germany. Instead of playing in Korea now, and it's huge, it's a big thing. But I got to do little things like that. But my number one thing was I spent 6 months away from my son. So I was gone as of January 1st till June 10th. I wasn't even in the house. I was doing the Phantom in Greece, and then I came back to do a couple concerts in Ireland, and then I went straight back to do more Phantom in Greece. Then I came straight back 3 days to wash my clothes and right back in the mechanics tour. And then I finished the mechanics tour and came home. So I've really been enjoying time with my family and with my son and with my daughters and seeing them as much as I can, as much as, they're off. My daughters are older now. So they're off doing their own things. And I love that. I love that they're living their lives and having experiences and learning about what it is to be a young adult and to pursue their careers. And they're doing great in it, both of them. And we see each other as much as we can. And I love that. But, when you have a 6-year-old, he predominantly takes a lot of your time, just like they did when they were that age. So, just hanging out with my son has been, that's been great. But then also the other people I was writing the album with, they all got busy doing other things too. So to bring everybody back, that's been a bit complicated. So I think that was put on hold, but now I'm actually talking to Luke about getting together and just banging out all the tunes and getting them produced up. And I think what's hard is I think that I want to do the songs like they're singles. I don't want to make them like they're one part of a whole album. I want to hear them all together at the end and go this song and then hear whatever that makes. So because if I want to sing something more like Sean Colvin or Jackson Brown, I want to do that song not justice. But if I want to do something that's more like Radiohead meets kind of like, it could be anything like The Damned or something, it could be something that crazy, a bit more ghouly, then I want to go that direction. And if there's something that sounds like the Kinks or sounds like the Who, I want to go that direction. So I don't want it to be like this. The only constant would be me singing it, or doing a duet or something. Or if there's something like a Peter Gabriel song, I want to do that justice. Not to make it a pastiche of something, but to use the elements that made me go, and put that song in that vernacular.
Well, yeah, and it's not uncommon. I mean, we consume music differently these days. I mean, you look at what Nick Collins' "Better Strangers" they've only had singles, right? They put out songs, and then the whole idea behind his current gig, the Effect,
yeah.
they put some songs together, and lo and behold, there's going to be an album, but they got it together, and they've been releasing singles. So you got to look at how people are going to consume it to get the most bang for your buck, so to say, both from
and then go tour it, man. You might write songs on tour, like you might. That's it. Like I think some of the mechanic stuff. Remember, we were in Leipzig, and we recorded like some stuff, just demo-y type stuff in Mike's hotel room, and there's like a tram going outside and there's people walking around and we're like but I think some of those things made the album, like some of the tracks on there, because they were just so kind of, they had the magic in it. So yeah, music is consumed differently, and I think it is I'm very lucky in that when I go tour, we can make, we have a built-in kind of audience. You can't take it for granted because you have to put on a great show, because otherwise they're not going to come back. And I'm very lucky to be involved in that kind of a band, because if I was a young band, it's very hard. And I toured for 8 years with my own band in London, playing every armpit known to man. And I think in some ways earned my stripes by doing that. But, when we didn't sell enough albums and we kind of ceremoniously left the record company, and they, let us go, we were the only artist on the album because it was kind of a purpose-built thing. But when that happened, it was hard to swallow all that stuff and go, well, what now? Have I done the rock? Is it over? Do I have to give up on that dream? And I didn't give up. I luckily fell in with my friend Brian, who introduced me to Mike, and just kept songwriting because I had the opportunity to try and write songs for other people. I thought, why not? Why not? Well,
there you have it, everybody. You're going to have, all you Tim Howar fans are going to have to hold his feet to the fire. Make sure that if you're hitting him up on socials, remind him he wants to get this done by February.
Solo album, yeah. And I might have some special friends on there because I've got a duet I want to do, and it's been one of those things that's kind of got that Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush type vibe to it, and and that's I've always heard it that way. And so I think it needs to be done that way. But to find the female vocalist, it's I don't know, whatever happens on the day, you just never know. So whoever floats my boat, and if I get the song finished and done the right way I want to do it, well then I've got a bunch of great people I can call, and I'm very lucky that I have so many friends in the musical theater business who also do kind of crossover stuff. They're not just musical theater singers; they're really good pop singers, they're good rock singers, and I think they've had to do that because of the jukebox musicals coming up, And some of them, I think the only way they can be successful is if they have that essence of raw or that of the original artist in them, and if they have that essence, then they tend to make the fans of the musicals happy, as well as the existing fans from their own work. So that's why there seems to be a lot more people who can put on those hats these days than there was maybe in the 80s. You'd have people who could only sing like legit, whereas now they can go, no, I got a bit of rock in me, and they're actually good at it, or they got a bit of R&B and they're really good at it. So so I hope that the album might appeal, that my solo album might appeal to some of those people as much as it would appeal to the Genesis fans. I wouldn't want to let them down. I don't want to dumb anything down because I want it all to sound the same. I want it to all, each song stand on their own, and that's, fingers crossed it'll be a good album.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I know you've been putting a lot of energy and effort into it.
Yeah, I have. It's also a lot of letting go. I like writing with other people because there's a security in that. It doesn't have to be just me, but this is just me, and not really. Like I said before, that's the ego saying it's just me. The reality is it's a whole bunch of other people, and maybe you might show up to do a couple of verses.
Right.
What I mean? Like,
if you get Luke involved, I'm confident it's going to be great. He is doing
first off, I love
work.
the guy like crazy, and he's a dude, man. He's an incredible creator, and I'd be lucky to have him. So we've been talking, and so fingers crossed that'll work out.
Awesome.
There's a lot of fingers crossed going in this conversation, isn't there?
There is, but you know what? You always got to have hope.
A bit more.
You always have to have hope. I always like to kind of, as we get to the end of our conversation, I think it's really cool to talk a little bit about who are some of the artists, top 2, 3, 4 artists that you're listening to right now. They're your little bit of earworm, either a song or an artist, and why, so that we can kind of spread some of that, some of those interests.
I go back to it over and over again. My daughter introduced me to a band called the Fickle Friends from Brighton, and I really love them. They're very 80s sounding, not 80s, but they're really updated. They've got some great songs. They're great songs, and there's a couple little swear words in there that can make it kind of current. I think it's just the way kids are, and not kids. I say they're kids, but it's cool. It's kind of cool to say. I'm just they don't have to dumb it down. They don't have to write a different word. That they can say what they actually want to say. So there's some great songs of Fickle Friends. I really love that. I was listening to an old band called the Toms, which is, who's the artist? I might have to even Google it right now. But the Toms is a song called Other Boys. And I was listening to a lot of Outkast, hey, because I love Andre 3000. And I just like, but there's that one song that reminded me a lot of, first off, I love the Velvet Underground, right? But that had, that was also, that got the seal of approval from Lou Reed, right? And people don't know, he thought that was a perfect pop song. And for Lou Reed to say that, it meant a lot. But then I heard the Toms, Other Boys do, and Other Boys. And I swear to God, Andre 3000 must have been listening to that song, because it's not, I listened to them back to back and I thought, no, they're too different. But there's something about the other, and it was written by the artist. Basically he just wanted to do a solo album, so he played every instrument himself and sang it. So everything on the Toms album, and it's one of those albums that when it was released, they had like 5,000 copies, and they went out to everybody, and then everybody forgot about it because it never hit anything. But then everybody went, this is a great album. So it became a real sought after collector's album. So if you have that original album, it's worth a lot. But then they've just reissued it, but it's on Spotify if you want to find it. But I listen to that and I just go, this is a tune. It's so good. It's so good. It's this basic rock and roll and fun and a bit out there, a bit like Pixies, a bit like, Frank Black, but still slightly mechanical. Anyway, I love that. And then, my buddy Andrew Rochford, I got to say Rochford. First off, the guy's like Stevie Wonder with sight. And I hate to say that because that sounds like I'm dissing Stevie Wonder. But, he's just one of the most brilliant piano players and creators. And he's the other lead singer, Mike and the Mechanics. And I get to hear this guy sing every night, right? And you'd think I get sick of it. But I don't. Not one moment. It's just like, he's a great, great artist. And he's been around for a while, over here. But he's never had that massive breakthrough success. Well, he has with Cuddly Toy. He had that a lot. And then the record companies kind of swamped everything up, and it just became, I think for him, the 80s and 90s were, a great time and a bad time because there were so many artists coming out and it was so all over the place, that you kind of get lost in a 7 album deal. Even that's an amazing deal to get, that he got his original deal with Sony. But he deserves his time in the sun. That man is so talented and he's also one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like, he's just one of the nicest guys, one of the coolest cats. I look forward to every time I hang out with him. He's the godparent for my son, and he's just incredibly talented. So, speaking of the wife, let me just hang up on her right now. So anybody who's listening and watching this, if your wife calls you and you hang up on them and it's recorded for Scott, you're in the doghouse. Okay. So I am officially in the doghouse, Ow!
We're gonna want to keep you there. Look, we're gonna wrap things up, but I will say, and not a lot of people know this, but since we're gonna put this out there on the internet, and I've been a big proponent, given that you are a treasure from Canada, if anybody, the Tim Hortons are now in the UK.
Listen,
so you've got
go back and listen to Tom Cochran. Go back and listen to Bryan Adams and Jim Valance. Go back and listen to these guys. Go back and listen to Sheriff and Alias, and go back and to hear these bands that came from Loverboy. Listen to them, and I defy you to sing like them. That's the reason why I thought I wouldn't be a rock singer, because these guys, April Wine, or even like the Guess Who, or Larry Gowan, these guys had these voices, and I was like, I can't sing like that. I can't, But then I was too young, But I mean, I was profoundly influenced by the Canadian music, and Tragically Hip. You can't not mention them because they're just the coolest. First off, nobody knew them in the States, and they never really broke the States, but nobody cared because they could fill stadiums like 70,000 stadium. It's kind of like there's another band that I know called the Springbok New Girls from my buddy Arno was the lead singer of that. And in South Africa, they'd sell like stadiums, And then when I met Arno, we were playing like a shitty little club in London, and I was like, people don't know how giant you are, He's like, well, you got to cut. You have to try your hand at the big place, and
Well, as I was getting. So let's just get this plug in, because I think this could be a real career.
This is our plumbing moment. There comes the plug.
Look, there are Tim Hortons now in the UK, so you get a little bit of that home taste when you're in the UK. But if anybody who may be watching in Canada, from the Hawkins Cheezies company, this is your biggest fan.
Listen,
and if you're going to expand it,
I would almost sell my child for you. You've been the backdrop of all my youth, And actually, I did a Tim Hortons commercial. I was the counter guy at a Tim Hortons commercial when I lived in Toronto. I shot a commercial for them, and they were so nice. They gave me like 2 giant pallets of coffee. They didn't have to do that. I had Tim Hortons coffee for like a year, and I was like so happy because I love coffee.
Because you're not amped up enough as it is.
Oh, Tim Hortons, let's make some more coffee spoons in there. But I drank all of it. And, I drank all that coffee, and it was great to do it, but to do those things I'm so lucky. I've done so many lovely things, because I think the thing is I just was fearless to move somewhere else and start over again. So, I got to sing at Maple Leaf Gardens with, sing the anthem. I got to sing for the Blue Jays. I got to sing for like the Raptors. I got to sing for, the Argos. I got to sing for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, I'm so lucky to be an anthem guy. And that made me just as happy as being the Phantom. And I'm probably more scared doing the anthem for like a Detroit Red Wings, hockey, than I was like going out and doing like a gig with Rod Stewart. I was like, this is incredible, because they're also superstars in a different vernacular. These guys and men and women who go play professional sports are unbelievable, and they get very little credit for the enormous amount of work it takes to become that. And in some ways, that's kind of, I love this interview because it's, I must sound like a ADHD, squirrel or something, but there's a lot of stuff that I've really enjoyed. And I think the thing is, the reason why the Undead Valleys come out of here, the reason why Chess comes out, it's because I enjoy doing the new crazy stuff. And if it needs a rock singer or it needs somebody to sing legit, I would give my hand to it, and hopefully make some new friends from it. Like we met in Chicago, and we've been friends for 10 years? What? Like, is it 10 years
like
now?
That. It's been a while.
It's crazy, man. I know your mom. I know his mom. Like, this is like, so that's it. So
Yeah. No, this has been great. And like I said, Hawkins Cheezies, your new spokesperson,
Hawkins
get him a couple.
Cheezies.
Get
I'm
him a
not
couple
joking.
cases because
My niece has sent me over cases. Scott sent me cases. Like it's wrong, but they're so right. And I don't think like they have a product over here called Twiglets that everybody drinks in the it has. It's kind of like a Marmite flavored or Vegemite or flavored stick. Hawkins are like the cheese version of that because they've never changed. They're remaining true to that formula. Don't ever change Hawkins if you're doing it because it's working. And people like me will scour the world for Hawkins Cheezies. And when I come back to Canada, I buy vast amounts and take them back with me. So isn't that hard?
Well, the bad news is I recently had to change suitcases, so the next trip over I've got less room for Hawkins. So we got to get Hawkins to ship you boxes for sure. So, and I'll definitely by next year I'll be seeing you in person, buddy. This has been a great hang. Really appreciate it. We've covered a lot of ground. Truly appreciate you spending time with everybody here at Almost Famous Magazine. If you have questions for Tim, throw them down below. Please follow. We've got a lot of great additional conversations coming up, and we hope to see you again soon, Timmy. All the best.
Anytime for you. Anytime. I mean it.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. You be good.
Peace out.